attract a new car. Live webinar. How to attract a new car is the course that we're all here for. And I wanted to make it quite an easy, simplistic course where we can start to learn the process of bringing new things into our life in a very fun, simple, and easy process. Because everyone generally needs a mode of transport in some way, and why not just start with attracting a new car? The reason I really want to do this, first of all, is because working out the car issue in my life, it consumes so much mental energy. And I don't know if it's the same for a lot of you, and it was something that you feel you have to invest so much time and so much energy and so much thought into, especially men. How many times we're looking at Auto Trader and all these car buying websites for years trying to find the right car, and sometimes it can be very stressful. Sometimes we tie it to more emotional things instead of realizing it's a mode of transport. So then it becomes a bigger deal than it needs to be. And my goal in this, because it's Peaceful Riches, I wanted us to have a Peaceful Riches version of a car, whatever that is in your life. And I wanted to do that just by sharing my story, first of all, and just how I was able to change the energy around the car so that it didn't stress me out in the same way. And then move to a more peaceful way of putting a car back in its place. And its place, not just a garage, its place is actually just a mode of transport. And it can actually just be an enjoyable experience that I don't really think about much anymore. And once we can get beyond the car issue, it seems there's so much more mental energy in order to build great things in our life. So I also want this to be a series. I also want to do how to attract a new home, how to attract a new income. And you'll notice that there's an overlap in how we go about this process. Because once you know how this process of what we're doing, how to break the stuck energy, then you'll know how to do it in every other area of life and find the stuck points and find the blocks. Because some of us are fine with a car. That issue is easy. Some people, it's very difficult to attract a new relationship. Some people, it's very difficult the income side. Some people, it can be different things. So once we know this way of thinking and this way of being, then we can apply it to almost anything. So even if you're not into cars at all, this will still be a very instructive process, because this is the spiritual manifestation journey for what looks like a material issue. This tonight will be part one. I just want to give you the introduction of my thoughts around this topic, a little bit of my story and how I started to transform the energy. And then over the next week or 10 days, there'll be almost 10 other parts to this course. And it's going to be interesting ways to change your energy, ways to think about cars differently, ways to face some of your fears. And it seems like some people might think that's a lot of things just for attracting a new car. But once you see this, you'll realize I always go about things in a self-development approach. So I use materialistic items to be able to raise myself to a higher level of consciousness. And then the car is just a reflection of that. So yeah, if you look at the cover of this one, it's the spiritual path to material riches. And I put on this that the car sometimes has a lot of things around it, like status, power, validation, a reflection of self-love, and all these things, which it probably shouldn't have. But in society, it does have a lot of these things. And people very often hierarchically place themselves in society in different positions based on the car they drive. And I would like us to be able to transcend beyond that. And it's an interesting thing, my Romanian brothers and sisters, you'll probably know this as well. You can see someone in a really tiny one-bed apartment in a bad neighborhood, and out the front they have a car that's worth €100,000. And it's just so interesting to watch that people would sacrifice so much in the home just to have the car, because that fulfills the status. But very often that comes from a need to prove ourselves. And once we get over the need to prove ourselves, then we can actually flow into peaceful riches. My car story, I just want to get into that a little bit. And very simple. I want to say whenever I tell my car story, I'm not doing it in any way to try and impress or to brag or to do anything other than just say what it actually was. So I'm not trying to be like Andrew Tate and show you Bugattis and other stuff, because that's not my journey with cars. That's not my intent, what I'm trying to do with this. It's not like we're not the Lambo bros. How do you get Lambo? It's how to have a peaceful experience with your cars. And that's really where I want to go with this. Just so you know, like, you might hate my car choices. That doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. It's not about the car. So whenever I'm saying these things, it's not for me to try and show anything other than just moving to a peaceful approach. So my situation right now, very simple. I overcomplicated for years, but now I simplified it. I like to say I finally have peace with my car situation. So as I say, this is just my story. You can make yours however you want. I'm not promoting any way of doing it. This is just what made sense for me. I had so many different cars over the years trying different things, and it stressed me out, and I was always trying to find the right thing. Now I realized I don't really drive very much, so I have a family daily driver, which we use for shopping, use for going out, use for going places. Super nice. I'll get more into that later about why I picked what I did and how easy and simplistic it made my life and how it took away so many like things I had to think about. And then I have a sun car and a fun car. One that every now and then, every month or so, I go out for a little drive in the sun, and it's nice to be able to put the roof down. Like we're in the south of Spain, so it's beautiful coastal roads, things like this. And the main thing for me was that's all I need. Like we were around, our friend yesterday just moved into a new house, incredible place, like it's absolutely like beautiful place. And everyone turned up in the cars, and there's a whole selection of different cars. There's like brand new high-end Mercedes, there's Bentleys, there's all these other types of things. And sometimes we can get into the trap of thinking, maybe I need a Bentley. Maybe I need a Lamborghini to talk. And this is like, no, it's not my game. My game is family. My game is building mission-based businesses. My game is all these things. And I don't want to invest any energy into those things, even though I can appreciate a nice car. And I like having the cars I have. It just ticks the boxes, and I'm good to go. And I can just move on from there. So, yeah. Snowshade say, what color is your Bugatti? Yeah. So, and it can be that energy, whereas like it's nice to be able to break out of that. I don't want our people's self-esteem to be tied to their car. I think once we transcend beyond that, then we actually have the cars that just fit us nicely, and then we can move on. After this course, what can happen? I hope that after this course, everyone here will always be able to have your ideal car. And when I say ideal, you might think you want a Bugatti or whatever, but you probably don't actually need that. It probably wouldn't actually improve your life much at all. You might have a fun experience for a little while, but your ideal car might be like a 7-seater for your family. It might be maybe a motorbike. So even though it's not a car, it might be somebody else driving you. Like our friend who's very wealthy, he doesn't have a license, doesn't know how to drive. And he always says, well, I was born to be driven. And that's why he's a beautiful Mercedes. Somebody else drives him around all the time, and that's just his car situation. So it's all about finding our own ideal. I also hope we'll be able to feel at peace about our car situation forever. That's going to be very important for me and for you, to be able to let go of the struggle associated with cars and the pressure to be able to prove ourselves in a certain way. Also to be able to attract more abundance in many areas of life, because once we know this manifesting process, then we can apply it to all the other areas of life and things happen to flow much easier. Then to love yourself fully, that's a big part, because once you love and accept yourself, then suddenly nicer things start coming into our life. So it's going to be very important, this, and then move through life easily and joyfully. So that's my intention for everyone by the end of this. It's not just so you can get the fanciest car, although that might happen. There's been many people who have come through our trainings, other stuff, and they go and experience some of this stuff, and very quickly they get a big upgrade, and we'll get to that later. So who's this not for? This is not for the ego-driven, crazy person, the Andrew Tate style. I know he's more family. I heard he's more family related these days, which is very nice. But it's not really about bragging with these things and only being materialistic about it. It's about seeing a spiritual version of this. It's also not for people who are extremely passive, because there are actually some steps to take. A lot of this work will be internal, like actually the majority of it, but there's a few key things we'll need to do in order to start changing our energy around the car and be able to upgrade and improve a lot of these things in our life. So who is this for? People who want to take action and do these things, people who love abundance, care about lifestyle, want to develop spiritually, and want to figure out how this world works, because I hope we're going to get to a much deeper level about how the world works. Once we heal some of the issues about self-expression, then suddenly a better quality car can come into our life. So that's what I'm going for in this. So my car story, I think it's just important. Again, this is not to impress anyone. It's not impressive. It's just like, it just is what it is. And it consumed so much of my mental energy thinking about a car for so long. But actually, it taught me the process of manifesting, which is a very interesting thing for me, because I didn't know anything about manifesting. It was long before The Secret. I think I was like 12, 13. And I saw an ad for a Ford Puma, and the original one, not the ones they have now. And it just caught me straight away. And I would just remember, I think it was Steve McQueen in the video. and it came flying over this place in San Francisco, and it just stuck in my mind so much. And from that day, I wanted that car. So I went to Auto Trader, I cut out the picture of the one I wanted, and I kept it in my wallet. And I looked at it almost every day. I would just take it every time I opened my wallet, I have a look at it and be like, this is amazing. Like, I just love seeing this. And I was just thinking about it, visualizing it all the time, how it feel when I got this car. And it just became such a big dream for me. Everyone knew I carried this around in my wallet. I didn't shut up about it. It's kind of a funny thing. So I carried it for years, and it was just one of those interesting things. Whenever it gave me a focus and a desire and a will to work. And I think for a lot of people, why young people, it can actually give you motivation to want to work and be productive. Because I remember I was just working in a supermarket at the time, so I didn't have a lot of money. And I actually went and bought my car on credit. I didn't even know what credit was then. I was quite naive to a lot of things. But I had the credit, and because I loved it so much, I just worked all the overtime hours I possibly could so I could pay it off quickly. And in a couple of months, I just paid it off, and it was such a big, important moment for me, and it gave me so much confidence. And I still love this car, the Ford Puma. Like, Brigitte laughs whenever one goes past. I was like, aha, here comes the most beautiful car in the world, and she knows it's Puma. And so I kind of do it jokingly. But for me, it was a big moment of being able to use my mind and manifestation powers to be able to create this. So then fast forward a little time after I went to work and other things and had more bills, my car situation deteriorated a little bit. Because my old mindset around cars was, maybe some of you might relate, that cars validate my self-worth. The cars help me find girls. That was one of the main reasons that a lot of people wanted cars at the beginning. Cars give me acceptance in the community. If I have the right car, people love me, they accept me, other stuff. Cars get me love from the world. Cars impress my friends. Cars determine the pecking order in society. We look up to those with better cars, and we look down on those with worse cars. So for me, what I thought was cars equal love and acceptance. And that's a very interesting thing. Once we're in that place of like, so if you get a better car, I feel better and superior. If I got a worse car, I feel miserable and depressed and ashamed. And it's just like, we think that can be a nice game to play sometimes, but you don't realize how much of a way it becomes a prison, even if you're on the high end of it. Because I noticed for a while I would go out and drive nice cars and get reactions from people, but you start to depend on that energy, and you start to, instead of just enjoying my own company, I go out looking for validation from the outside world, and I like to get beyond that. So after a while, once I was more into adult and I had some bills, some of you know, I live in an abandoned building for 9 months. So I kind of had lost a lot of my income, and I didn't have any car for a while. I just had to walk around, get the bus, other things. So whenever I started the first company, I needed to get around because I had a mail order business as well, and I had to drive around Belfast, Dublin. I was wanting to open businesses, and I wasn't able to do that. But the only car I could get was this Peugeot 206. And it's like, it's funny when you don't have a car. The first time I got this one, I just felt such a level of excitement when I got it. I was like, freedom. Oh, yes, finally I can move around. I can take all the catalogs and post them somewhere, and I can drive around, and I can go and meet people and do things. And it became so exciting for me just to have that level of freedom and not have to be on the bus and be able to go wherever I want. And it's just such an interesting thing how something that can give us so much joy and so much excitement and so much of a sense of freedom, that sometimes we start to change our expectation. And this is a trap I find whenever we're into the manifestation and we want to build a lot of wealth in our life. We suddenly get a little win. You might find a little money, you get a little increase in your income, you might do something well in your work, and it goes well, and then we raise our expectation of what's possible. So then you think, I made 2,000 this month, maybe I can make 20,000. And then we start to get annoyed that we only make 2,000. And in this situation for me with this car, I loved it for the first little while. But then I started to want to manifest much higher quality cars, other stuff. And then I started to feel ashamed of this car. I remember when I was driving around, like if I saw a young guy around my same age and he pulled up in a nice car, like say at the gas station, I almost felt ashamed to get out. I noticed myself, I started to like invert my energy and be like, I don't want to be seen in this. And it started to make me spiral downwards. So very often you get something that actually is a great boost for prosperity, and it helped me make more income because I was able to work differently. But then I started to feel ashamed, and it almost inverted me and caused the opposite reaction. But the car was the same. It wasn't anything to do with the car. It was about my perception. And my perception started to become a bit toxic. So something to be aware of, like something you think about that actually is a joy for you can become a source of shame. But again, it's just a story we tell ourselves, and this is in our choice to be able to do this. And I remember actually, whenever I was growing one of my companies, I was doing an interview with one of the guys. He built, it was like, he built a huge wholesale company. He went around all these companies in the whole of Ireland. He had like, the level of connections he had was off the chart, like crazy. It was probably like one of the most well connected people in our country. And it was absolutely incredible. Like I was able to get a meeting with this guy, and he was going to start selling some of our products and get them into stores all around the country. And we went to McDonald's. I don't know why we went to McDonald's for this conversation. And I was telling him all the possibilities, all the sales we can make, how well we can do with this product range. And he was talking about, okay, he could open up like 50 stores in the first couple of months. Then by the end of the year, he'd get a few hundred stores, and then we could start growing up like this. And it was like the conversation was flowing so well. He was feeling so prosperous. I was feeling excited. He was all about it. He wanted to have a new venture in his life. And I thought, this guy can help me grow this company like crazy. And it was just such an interesting thing. It was like, but he was pretty wealthy at the time, but he pulled up in a brand new Audi. And then whenever we had finished the discussion, we went out to the parking lot. And this is where my energy started to change. So we went out to the parking lot, and we pulled up, and we looked over, and his car was brand new Audi, looked incredible. And he was like, oh, cool, where's your car? And whenever he asked me, where's your car? I remember I had such a sense of shame, and I just spiraled like crazy. And I was just like, and the thing is, it wasn't like, the car isn't a big deal, but my reaction about the car was a big deal. And I remember feeling so ashamed about it, because he had such a nice car, and I was trying to show that, okay, I'm someone that would be good to do business with. And then he looked over and he saw my car, and I was like, this one. He's like, that's your car? I was like, and I was talking about all these numbers, all these sales we could do, and he probably thought like I was just like absolute crushing at the time. And I just remember, it was like, I just felt the pain. And he just gave me this look of disappointment, like everything we had just discussed had just gone out the window. And he had that look of disappointment. I was like, shit, this is gone. This sale's gone. And after that, there wasn't much communication with me and him. And it had gone so well. Like, I just like closed it. But again, if I just told him, if I had felt good energy about this, if I hadn't been ashamed, and I said, hey, I'm growing my company like crazy, so I'm not wasting money on a car right now. I'm investing every single cent into this business, into this project. And if he had felt that that was legitimate, and I actually was doing that, he would have respected it. I genuinely feel he would have respected it, and I could have closed that deal. But because I felt ashamed about it looked like I was hiding something, and it looked like, then it was like, so you don't know what you're doing, and then it just spiraled, and then it just felt this weird thing. But that would have been such a huge deal for my company at the time. Would have been so important for me, whatever. And it's just like, it's funny how just having that shame and energy around it. Like, I had this thing as well, even with this car. Whenever I started to dress nicely, I was reading Catherine Ponder and all these other things, and it was talking about always bring your best foot forward. So I went out and I bought one nice outfit, because that's all I could afford at the time. One nice Hugo Boss outfit. I had everything. I got it in sale. I've been looking at it for ages, and it went in sale, and I was so excited. And I just wear like a really nice coat, really nice pants, really nice shoes. And I was starting to convince myself that I was wealthy. And whenever I did that, I felt super prosperous. But then if I was with someone and they saw me, I didn't want to go back to the car. And again, spiraled, and I felt the shame. Every time I was driving it, I felt the shame. And instead of having just a fun, nice experience doing my work, the shame became a big, major focus of my life. Like almost all the time, half of my life was thinking about shame of the car and how I wanted to have this other, better car. And it was just like this energy that I just got stuck into it. And the shame was actually dragging me down and causing me like depression and making me not be prosperous anymore. So I decided to flip that. And start to become someone who actually loved everything I had in my life. And find a way to be grateful. Oh, it was Joe Vitale, actually. I remember this now. I remember him talking about how when he was homeless, his first thing he had to try and find to be grateful for a pencil. Anything. Find one thing about the thing that you can be proud of or grateful for. And I just started to think about this car. I was like, okay, what am I grateful for in this? And I remember just thinking, well, I'm grateful that it moves and I can get around. And I'm grateful that it works. And I'm grateful that I can listen to my audio when I'm in here. And then I actually had this idea, and I just decided to go down to the beach. In Ireland, you can drive in the beach, which is super nice. And I just went down, and I just pulled onto this beach, and I just started driving and doing handbrake turns and like drifting everywhere. And very soon, it was like I was having the best time of my life in this car. It just brought me so much joy. I was just like, this is incredible. It's so much fun. I'm not so worried about it. I just go into the beach and late at night under the full moon, just handbrake, drifting, other stuff. I just felt like some rally driver. And then there was this weird little paddle shift. I don't know what it did, but it felt like a paddle shift in a racing car. And every time I changed gear, for the rest of the time I had this car, I think it was on this side actually, I'm thinking in the UK, whenever I changed the gear, I flicked the paddle shift. And I flicked the paddle shift so that it felt like I was in a sports car. And I had so much fun. I was just like, in my mind, I was in like a super luxurious, prosperous car and I was enjoying it. And I made sure I cleaned it. I kept it full of fuel. I took care of it. I gave it thanks every time I got out of it. I gave it thanks every time I was going to it. And very quickly my energy started changing and I started to feel this prosperity again. And it wasn't long because of that I saw one of my other cars that I was thinking about and new money just started to come into my life. And this took me to the next one. Haha, this car. I absolutely love this. Again, I'm not saying this to impress you. Like these things, it's an older car now. It's not, this is just, for me at the time, this was a car I dreamed about years before. And I went down to a car dealership, I saw an ad for it, and I drove down in the Peugeot, and it was just like, because I was feeling such high and such joy, like things were just flowing a bit more, and I saw it in the dealership, the exact one I wanted, like this one with the black, just like when I got into it, I just felt so prosperous, it felt like a new version of me. And I was able to just put it on my card at the time and be like, boom, I'll take this car. And it was just like, and again, it wasn't even that expensive. It was just like, but it was just like such a key moment for me. But I felt like it happened because I was able to transform the energy of the car I had and be able to feel that good energy. Because usually the energy we try to get rid of the old thing with is the energy we attract the new thing with. So then by the time I charged up my energy so much, whenever I got this new car, it just charged me up with so much energy and so much joy that it made everything else spiral up in life. I just felt prosperous all the time. I felt so good. I felt so charged up. I felt energized. And I was just like, I loved all these drives. And I still remember this as like a key pivotal moment in my life. But it wasn't the car that did that. It was the changing my intention about the car and realizing that I'm going to like myself and be proud of myself no matter what. And then when we do that, suddenly it makes things spiral upwards. So that for me was just like once I went to there, and it just gave me such a confidence in life once I leveled up. And even just leveling up a little bit just sometimes can break that stuck energy when you feel you've been like struggling for a while. And it was just such an important thing for me. So yeah, so I think some of you might relate. You might have had that one time when you had like the new car, a new transformation, new something else. Then you had that moment where it just things start to change a little bit. Okay, so then this took me to, it was funny how I went from like the Peugeot, simple little car. I don't know how much it cost, probably like a couple of €1,000, not a big deal. This one wasn't a huge amount more, but it was just like a big deal for me. But it changed my energy, and then I carried that prosperity way, kept the car full of fuel. I made it prosperous, always kept it clean, always kept it nice. I gave it gratitude. I kissed it every time. I would give it a hug. I would say thank you to it all the time. I'd be so grateful for it. And I just felt such joy, which means that spiraled again. And for me, then it became this crazy level upgrade. That over the next while, like whenever that was my last car I had in Ireland was that Lexus, and then I decided to make a big upgrade in everything because I realized it's the same thing with housing, it's the same thing with everything else, the same thing with your business. Can you love what you have? Can you start to put that prosperity into everything? So my business started to grow like crazy, and I was able to move to Spain, and then I was able to add another income and another business and another business and another business, and then it became. Everywhere I went, I was in luxury cars. And it was like, and this is something about, I started to say yes to everything. And there was a thing as well, whenever I first started saying this to a lot of people, like there was this sort of energy that a lot of people shut things down because they think, and this can be quite a Romanian thing as well for my friends over there, it's like, the first thing you know, like you can be enjoying prosperous things in a way, but the one thing they care about is your name on the paperwork. And if your name isn't on that paperwork, you shouldn't get to enjoy the thing. Whereas for me, I let go of that. I didn't care. Like, I like to own my incomes. I like to own my businesses. Well, I say own it. I like to have control of my businesses so I can make them flow the money wherever I want. Because again, I'm not really into ownership of anything in terms of I like control. I open myself up to say yes to anything happening the way that it comes. And I didn't really care. Where I see a lot of people shut them down, they say, no, I have to own the car. This is the only way I'll accept it. No other way. If I don't own it in my name and I pay it in full, that's it. I cannot enjoy this prosperous experience. And a lot of people, they almost go in line, like if they see you having a fun day with something prosperous, they almost want to come after you and say, this isn't yours, and go crazy. And it's like, you can see they're just so stuck in their own scarcity and bad energy that they don't let themselves grow and start to flow with life and allow prosperity to flow. And I remember Alex, my good friend Alex Hudutans, who you all know I mention quite a lot, like he was one of the main culprits for this. He wanted to investigate everything to make sure my name was on the paperwork for absolutely everything. But I don't put my name on the paperwork of anything. Even now, I don't have anything in my name. I don't have companies in my name. I don't have cars in my name. I don't have, like, I have a way of organizing things that nothing's in my name. But again, he realized after a while that he started to feel the same as me. It's not a big deal. But I started to attract beautiful experiences in so many ways. Like sometimes, like even Alex, he drives his Porsche down to Marbella. He's coming down actually in the probably next week actually to come and see us. And he drives his Porsche down from Romania all the way through all the countries, then comes down. And then a lot of times he just leaves at my house. And I have his Porsche for 3 months. That's pretty nice. And he did that with so many other friends, just gives it that. And it's like, I don't shut that down. I just say, thank you. That's wonderful. Amazing. I had other friends give me lots of other like supercars where you just like nice experiences. They're like, here, I'm not using it here. Do you want to take it for a while? It's like, sure, I'll take it. Very nice. Amazing. In the flow of prosperity. Then also some of the cars I had, some of them I leased on the company. Some of them I rented. Some of them I had a day experience. Some of them I did track days. Some of them I bought. Some of them. And it's just like a combination of all the different things. But I didn't care how it happened. I just started to let myself be in the flow of life. And this is something like some people might just even be mad. It's like, no, but his name isn't on everything. And it's like, it's fine. Nothing. We don't get to own, like in this world, nothing is ours. We don't get to keep anything. We just get to use things for a while and then it moves on to the next thing. And this can rattle some people, your way of perception of the world, the way you think about things, but also with companies and other things. Once I realize that nothing is mine, I just get to control it and use it for a while. And then it'll be somebody else's at some point. It just made it so much easier to build companies, so much easier to have nice houses, so much easier to be in good locations, so much easier to travel easily. It's this flow of life where it's like things that are just like experiential, they can just be experiential. And it's okay to be that. And I realized from I let go of that and just allowed this, the amount of experiences of like all the cars I ever wanted to drive, I was able to tick off all the list. I had some of them for days, some of them for weeks, some of them for months, some of them for years. And it just was become a nice flow and being able to enjoy it in a different way. But it comes from letting go of that intensity. Like I have to own it and be able to tell everyone that it's mine. Like you want to control your income, and this is very important. I want to really get to this. It's like it's important to control your income. But things like boats, jet skis, all this other crap. If your friend has a boat, enjoy it. Enjoy the boat. You don't have to be your boat. It's much better to have a friend with a boat than have your own boat. And I've had boats, I've had jet skis, I've had other stuff, and I don't want to own these things again. It's just like, it's just such a mental drain on energy. Whereas like, even the last day, some of my friends went out and got a Ferrari for the day, and after like 4 hours, you're kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of done now. Like I don't really need that so much. And if you haven't had these experiences, it's nice to have these experiences so you realize it's not as big a deal as you think it is. Like once you can put a car back into place, like sometimes it's a nice experience. The rest of the time you just need your car to go where you want to go. So, but it's all internal and being able to like, can we say yes to the prosperity? Like even now, can you say yes to the prosperity in your life? Like I hope by the end of this course, many of you in the next couple of weeks and months will have driven a lot of the cars that you've always had in your list, but you were never aware of before. And that will start the flashes to, because it seems to let this world know that we're open to more prosperity. And then once we pull on the string, okay, your friend might give you your car for 4 days. Super nice. Like even before, like I remember a good experience, like whenever I came to Romania was with Andy Secchi, and his friend just gave him, it was like brand new, one of my favorite cars at the time. It was a brand new Jaguar XFR, I think at the minute, like specced out like crazy. And I remember like very recently I was thinking I would like to get one of these. And I turned up and Andy said to me, it was like, hey, we're going to go and do the business day speaking tours, and we're going to go and travel around. We're going to go to Iași and Cluj and do the full tour of the country. And then it's like, oh, my friend gave me this car and we can drive this. And for the 4 or 5 days we're away. And it's like, brilliant. I love this. And we had such a great time. It just, because it feels like an Aston Martin. And we just had like 5 days, me and him on the road, having a good conversations, chatting, enjoying things, going to seminars. And by the end, it's like, here, give it back, tick it off in the beautiful experience list. I didn't shut it down or say it's like put conditions on it. It's just like I'm open to the flow and prosperity of life. So, and it's convenient, as I said before, it's convenient for me to have two cars right now. There's also company cars and other stuff, but they're for employees to use, whatever. So hopefully this is making sense. Hopefully you're with me and everything's working. So it took me a little while to get into this, but I feel like once you see the deeper level of what's going on in this world, that the material is a reflection of the internal, and it's not like it's, if we don't do the inner work and level up and somebody just gives us the things, we don't really get to enjoy it the same way as if we're able to just say yes to it and change our consciousness and be able to appreciate it in a different way, and then we start to flow all levels of prosperity. So yeah, so Lucy says it can express your business identity, don't you think? Express your business identity. What do you mean by that? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Lucy. So and I get it does become part of your branding, the car and other stuff, and your way of expressing yourself for sure, but it's changing that energy first of all to really express that. Whereas if we feel shame and other stuff, then the car will match that energy. That's why I just thought this would be a fun one. It could be good interest. Once we start getting the exercises later in the training, then you're going to see like the deeper level to this. So as I said, now I'm open to other random car situations. Like if a friend gives me a supercar for a while, maybe I don't even know if I'll drive it anymore. I'm kind of almost past that energy. Especially with children, they don't really feel so excited about flying down the road at 200 miles per hour. I like just driving chill. We do the shopping, we go places, and very comfortable. It's very nice. If I want to just have a nice day out in the sun, then I just have the other car. And for me, it's not about, like, I don't care what you think about the cars I have. That's irrelevant. Like, you can hate both of them, whatever. That's not the point. It's like, for me, I have the peace with my car situation, and that's the only thing I want people to get to here. To find peace with it, where it just flows and works. And that can be whatever it is for you. If you just want a smart car and that's it, you go for it. If you want something else, you need an SUV, a Range Rover for your family, then cool. That's cool too. So, but it's just finding, like, not to stress ourselves about things we don't actually need in our life. So yeah, so my new peaceful mindset that I changed with this, I can now focus on better things, and cars are transportation as it should be. I find that cars help me move around easily. This might seem like quite obvious to a lot of people, but it wasn't really the thing for me. Like, the cars were, as I said in the toxic version, it was more about a level of my self-worth rather than a means of transport. And I wanted to put it back where it is. So cars are a very useful thing to have. I enjoy having safety and reliability for my family. I like having a brand new car that's just like, it just works. It's easy. It's part electric, so when in town, it's very nice. Other things, I enjoy it. So I like to see nice things. So whenever I go to the garage, I see nice cars. It's very pleasant. But that's for me. I like when I see it. I like things that work perfectly. I enjoy it whenever I look at it and drive it. It's minimal hassle, maximum experience. I think about cars only when driving or planning to drive. I'm not on websites all day looking at car stuff, thinking about cars. It's just like, if I'm driving, I see the car. When I park it, that's all I think about until I'm coming back to it. And my self-worth is a separate topic from the vehicle that I'm driving. So that's what I see as the new peaceful mindset, and it can take a little bit to get there sometimes. Some people do it easier. Some people do it more difficult. And once you see through this Attract a New series that we're doing, you might have this with your house. You might have this with your income. You might have this in a relationship. These same old paradigm with new paradigm. And once you know how to change the energy, then things can start to change. Yeah, so where I want to get with this whole thing is, like, when we change the story inside, the outside changes to match it. And I feel with this training, like, once you see the next parts of it, this is just the framing session to let you know kind of what we're doing here and what it's about. Once you start to do this, you'll start to notice that you can heal a lot of things in life, because I think the car is a reflection of how we move through life. I remember Louise Hay used to always talk about that. It's like, if you have problems with a car, then we probably have problems moving through life in a specific way. And it's a very good representation of that. So once we start to make the change in our story inside, then the outside changes to match that. So I really believe that. I like to think this all the time. I'm always thinking, what's my outside world telling me about my inside world? So I hope you can start to see it in the same way also. Yeah, so this is how we're really going to make the shift in this process. breaking the intense energy. If anyone has a car they don't like right now, like a lot of you might have the car, your perfect car right now, that's fine. You'll still learn a lot in this process, even if you have a great car. We have gratitude for what is now, starting to build self-love and acceptance, so that it's like, let's say a friend says, hey, can you drive my 24-year-old Dacia from one side of the town to the other? Can you just do that and be chill about it, and you're not like stressed that somebody might see you, and just be in a place where it's just like you're just chill with whatever. You can jump in a Rolls Royce. If somebody says, hey, can you drive my Rolls Royce around there? It's like, yeah, sure, no worries. If somebody says, can you drive my Dacia? It's like, sure, no worries. And it's that same reaction wherever. You're just like, I'm just moving a car, not a big deal. And we're just at peace. Like, where I find is like, can we be at peace in the luxury and the simple? Because I know a lot of people, like I had this for a while. Once I had like, I'd been able to buy some really nice cars. I got used to that and people knew me for that. And then when I didn't have it, I felt ashamed and I felt less like I lost a part of myself. Whereas now it's just like, I want to just be in the flow and like myself regardless. So yeah, so we'll be doing new scripting. Prayer of love can sound a bit hokey. There's prayer of releasing, because it's important to have a way of releasing the old energy of the old car. Open for the best way. Also realize, if we're scared about being judged for a car, it might be a way that we are judging other people for theirs. And I find this is a big possibility, that we might be judging other people and building this hierarchy as well. So we look down on some people, which means if we look down on some people, then it means we're looking up at other people. Whereas we break that hierarchy and we just are the best version of ourselves. So then there's a wheel of dependence. I'll get to that later, about why some people don't let prosperity in their life and how we can break that. And then in external, then we want to take care of what we have, experience the ideal, and follow inspired action. I'll get to these in all the different training sessions. So the rest of this course, it's not going to be a big, super long. Each one's going to be a few minutes. Like I like this model. I want to have it like something that I'll give you an audio and you can go to your car and change the energy while you're there for like 2-3 minutes. That's what a lot of these are going to be. So don't get overwhelmed. It's not like 2 hours every video. That's not the point of what we're doing here. So it's about just like seeing the simple shift that then you can just do on your own when you're driving from now on. So yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, David said, judge not lest you be judged. And it is a perfect thing. If you look down on people, then there's like, if we feel superior to some people, then we end up feeling inferior around other people. A few weeks ago, a billionaire contacted me and wanted to hang out and wanted to know what I'm doing, all the business things. We wanted to have a conversation together, and we had like a really nice, enjoyable time together, whatever. And whenever I meet him, I just treat him the same as anyone else. Like, I don't let that label billionaire be something. It's just like, I appreciate the level at which he was operating, the level of companies he has, how he thinks, and I appreciate that. And I can tell someone, I appreciate the way you do things, but not at one point do I feel lesser because of it. Same as if I just talk to anyone random in our group, community. If you're low on income, if you're a good person and you're willing to grow and develop and learn, I'll talk to you the same way I talk to the billionaire. And I really just normalize it where it's just not a big deal. And you want to have that level where it's like, I don't change my self-worth based on what's around me. And it gives us so much power. So the main thing is, like, I want us all to change our energies. Like, I'm open and willing to accept a new wonderful car. I'm open and willing to see life in a new way. I'm open and willing to accept all good flowing to me, and I'm open to the best way. Because I've seen a crazy thing recently. I've seen so many people. I've been helping a lot of people through mentoring, masterminds, other things. And I can give people a strategy to make more income. And I know it works. I know it's a good strategy. Very often they can apply it. They test it out and go, oh wow, that brought me new money. And then they spiral. And they turn into a crazy person, and then they can't get themselves to work, and then they feel depressed, and then they're all over the place. And then it's just like, prosperity hurts a lot of people more than almost anything else, because whenever people feel they don't deserve it. So if I give someone a strategy, it'd be like, all you got to do is contact some customers and do this. They try one or two, it works. Now they downward spiral and can't get themselves to do anything anymore. And it's just it blows my mind how often I see this now. It's like, that's why in our new project, it's mission-based businesses, whereas like I really want to give people the business stuff so that they can go out and level up. But almost every time, energetically, something happens to them. And then I realized, because I was going to change Peaceful Riches and not have Peaceful Riches anymore, but I realized actually this is critical. Because when you're just doing the business stuff, it's not the strategy is the problem. Like, I can give you the strategy to fix your business pretty quickly. It's what happens to you when it starts to work. That's the fascinating thing. So once we know how to do all of this, and it's like when the Mr. Miyagi and Karate Kid, the wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off, if you know that reference, where in that movie he was training with something very simple so he knew how to move his hands in the right way. This is the very basic level of learning how to change our energy so we can start accepting prosperity. And then when we work together and I give you the business strategy, you can actually just apply it. Because if all we had to do was apply the business stuff, I think everyone would be wealthy very quickly. It would take almost no time, because that's not the hard bit at all. It's just, can you get yourself to accept it and keep doing the things consistently, especially when money starts to flow. Because like, prosperity breaks more people than almost anything. It's crazy to watch. It blows my mind. Like, a lot of people just like love poverty, because poverty is easy. You don't have to do shit. Nobody cares. You can just sit in your ass and do nothing all day. And you go, yeah, but it's hard. It's like, no, it's being poor is way easier than being rich. Like, we were at our friend's house yesterday, and like, it's a big house. Like, this is a big house, and they do a house, like, to bring the guests, like, everyone, housewarming, I'm trying to think of the word here. So they do a housewarming event, and there's like 20 people come around. Someone has to prepare all the food. You have to prepare the whole house for this. They have staff in the house. They have staff renovating all the place downstairs. They have to coordinate that, organize that. They had to move all their stuff. They had like a full team of people for like 6 days moving all of their stuff like crazy. It's just like, while having multiple businesses all going at the same time and having a waiting list of customers, like, this is a lot. Like, and you can even see, like, they're very competent people, but you can see almost like it's like the burnout, because it's a lot of things to put together in a very short period of time. So whenever you start being wealthier, there's a lot more pressure. Whereas I think a lot of people are in this naive thing, is like, once you start getting wealthier, life gets easier. It's like, it doesn't. It gets harder, but it gets much, much better. And it gets harder because you take on more things. And we want to level up and grow. Whereas to be poor, you just exist, basically. So you can just do the minimum. Like, go put a can on a shelf. Not very hard. Drink beer at the weekend, smoke some cigarettes, watch some shitty movies, like, play some games, do all the things poor people do. Nobody cares. No expectations, nobody gives a shit. But to be rich, and the thing is, once you start getting wealthy, everyone has an opinion of you. So then you have to start dealing with the perception game. How do people feel about me? What's the perception? What's going on? This type of thing. So can you handle that part as well? And there's a lot to it. So being rich is not the financial strategy. That's just one little part of it. Almost every time I see now, it's like people, they just can't handle the prosperity. It's not the financial strategy. Once you give them the financial strategy, if they can do the work, it's like, boom. Apply straight away, money comes in. So yeah. So there's a lot more to this than just getting a car. This is just like a workaround to get you to do the thing, but in a way you can see it very clearly in a small way that's not overwhelming, and then build up from there. So the simple formula for attracting a new car is going to be: love what you have, take care of what you have, know your ideal, and then take inspired action. This is a very simplistic version. This is like the next parts we're going to do. So we'll be putting together all these different parts bit by bit, and it seems easy, but it doesn't mean it is. So we all have levels and stuck points. So like the way I realized, like, we don't know where the big transformation in our life will come from. That's what I found for any of you who did the prosperity challenges. I'll talk about that a little more later, but you don't know where your biggest transformation comes from. Whenever we send you to meet a celebrity, some people that breaks people. Some people don't care. It's easy. No problem. You can meet celebrities. Some people going to a supercar dealership, that freaks them out and they can't handle it. Some people, it's going to a store and seeing themselves wearing something nice. It's like, some people, it's funny as well. In the prosperity challenge, one of the challenges was just to talk to normal people on the street for 1 minute. The amount of people couldn't do that one was almost more than all the other high level stuff. So we don't know where the big breakthrough comes from. But by doing this one, how to attract a new car, how to attract a new house, how to attract a new business, how to attract a new, you'll notice it might hit your stuck point, and then all the other areas of life start to flow as well. So yeah, so the next steps for this will be to look out for the next videos and audios. I'm going to post them in the group in Peaceful Riches, so keep an eye out for that. Then you'll watch the videos, listen to the audios, and follow the actions. I want to keep this very simple, like a rapid course, 2-3 minutes hopefully for each one. it'll be nice. You just listen, follow the prompts. I try to make it as easy and straightforward as possible. That's the thing. I'm not like, my main thing is I just want you to love your car situation, and that might mean upgrading or it might not, but just being open to the flow of prosperity and finding, like, I think it's about finding that sweet spot, whatever it is for you. I find like right now, because for a while we had the 3 cars. We had Audi A5 convertible, and I really like that because you can put 4 people in the car whenever you go, and it's like the stars are out and it's full moon and it's nighttime and it's hot in the summer, but it's just like you can just sit in the back and it's just so nice getting that wind in your face and all the other stuff. But then for like the last 4 months we had it, it just sat there outside the front of the house. I didn't drive it, didn't feel like driving it. There's no reason for it, so it's just like let it go. And then now we're doing with 2 cars, and I don't feel lack with it. I feel it's fine. If we bring new members of the family, maybe I got to get a 7-seater or something. Hope there's a cool one, or 2 cars, 2 SUV style. That's fine too. So it's just like flowing with it, whatever I feel like just fits my way of living right now, and that's mainly it for me. So yeah. Violet says, listening to you now, I realized I had this about my house. Didn't feel to invite people because it's not beautiful enough. Yeah, that's why we will be doing how to attract a new house as well. So even if you don't care about the car stuff, play the game, go through this. You might get some breakthroughs, and then we'll apply it to the house, and then we'll apply it to the real fun one, which is your income. And that's probably where a lot of people want to do that one. So I just think these are fun ones to learn the process in a nice way you can do it. So yeah. And then there is a part about, again, if your house is an absolute, or I'm not saying you, I'm saying anyone, if your house is an absolute crap hole and there's garbage everywhere and all that stuff, of course, but you can have a very nice, like, 1-bedroom apartment. If it's just like, you keep it nice, you organize it, you put nice things around, you have some nice fresh flowers, or if you don't have a lot of money, you can put, like, just IKEA flowers, whatever, and it can still be a beautiful space. I've been in a lot of people's places, and like they have a beautiful 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom place. And then people feel that prosperity. It's just like, don't have like just a lot of like junk around and hoarding a lot of crap, because you feel that. So, but we'll get to that later in the in this course. So, yeah, Daniel says, I just received a friend's car and we're going to take next week's with family and go celebrate my mom's birthday. I went with my son to pick it up and had a great time. Yeah, amazing. So I love it. So, and David says, love that, just looking at the car as a tool of transportation, being grateful and loving towards it. Yeah, because you want to charge everything we have, we want to charge it up with high energy and high prosperity. And that's the main thing. And just be someone who exudes that prosperity everywhere. So yeah, so that's going to be it. We're going to be talking about this. Lucy says, my garden and house is part of my personality. Yeah. As long as we're not dependent on it, that's one of the main things. Can we flow with life? And again, we can make it beautiful. It's a symbol of our expression. But also, if the world changes, then can we also flow and be at peace and realize that it's like we don't need to hang on to it, which can be difficult sometimes. I'm not gonna say otherwise. But yeah, I think that's it. So very nice. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. We'll see how we get the recording. If it worked, if the recording worked, we'll post it. I didn't post the last one. But yeah, but it is what it is. So thank you all. I appreciate you all. And until next time, we shall see you later.
Attract a new car.